voters, and indeed you, the people of India, should have the last word on this debate as well. Every day we hear, we read cases and stories about children, those even younger than 12 years, 18 months old, 3 years old, 6 years old, getting raped. And we'll think about it, it fills us with disgust. We probably spend a few minutes thinking about where has our country come, and then we move on with our lives. But what we do forget is the kind of pain and agony that the child will have to go through, probably for the rest of their life. What we do forget is that the number of stories we actually come across is not even half probably of what actually happens, considering the amount of cases that go unreported or get suppressed or don't come out in the media. So the extent and the gravity and the intensity of child rapes in our country is more than what we are even aware of today. Every time a gruesome incident like this happens, the debate about death penalty comes up. Today, the Madhya Pradesh government has decided, the assembly has cleared the bill that enables the judiciary to give death penalty to those who've been convicted of raping children below the age of 12 years. But every time this debate happens, there will be people who come out and say that they are not in favor of death penalty. Now, those who think it's too harsh, let's have that debate if you think it's too harsh. But those who are overall against the principle of death penalty, my debate tonight is not with them. Because as long as we do have this punishment in our country, as long as our laws do allow us to give this harshest of the harsh punishment, the death penalty punishment, to our criminals, why should we not use this as a deterrent against these beasts? Madhya Pradesh has taken the lead. Should the rest of the country follow? That's the big debate.
पहली बार पीछा करने के बाद अगर दोबारा पीछा करते, पहली बार में जमानती, दोबारा अगर पीछा करते तो इस तरह के अपराधों को गैर जमानती और 7 साल तक की सजा का प्रावधान इस विधेयक में किया गया है। छेड़छाड़ की घटनाएं भी मन को उद्वेलित करती है और कई बार छेड़छाड़ से त्रस्त होके बेटियां मौत तक को गले से लगा लेती है। ऐसे हृदय विदारक प्रकरण सामने आते हैं। इसलिए छेड़छाड़ की घटनाओं को भी गैर जमानती बनाने का प्रावधान किया गया है और दोबारा इस तरह का अपराध करने की सजा 10 वर्ष तक रखने का प्रावधान किया गया है। आज मध्य प्रदेश ने एक ऐतिहासिक विधेयक पास किया है जिसमें यह प्रावधान किया है कि यदि 12 वर्ष से कम उम्र की बेटियों के साथ भगवान ना करे कभी हो, लेकिन कोई दुराचार करता है तो उसको मृत्यु दंड दिया जाना चाहिए, फांसी की सजा मिलनी चाहिए, फांसी के फंदे पर लटका दिया जाना चाहिए।
So as we debate this law, as we debate the fact whether the rest of the country should have the law where we can hang the child rapists, use that hashtag #HangChildRapists and tell us where do you stand on this debate. We have 3 simple questions. Question number 1, does rape of a child come under the category of rarest of rare? Do you believe that rape of children qualifies as rarest of rare? Question number 2, do you believe that death penalty in child rape cases will actually help us reducing crime? Shivraj Singh Chauhan believes that. Where do you stand on that debate? Question number 3, should this law be taken from Madhya Pradesh to rest of India? Madhya Pradesh may be topping the charts when it comes to number of rape cases in our country, but several other states are not too far behind, and they're equally gruesome stories that are coming out. Let's say good evening to our guests as we begin this debate. Joining me, Karuna Nandi from New Delhi, senior lawyer. I've also got Abha Singh, who will be with me in just a bit. Let me come to you first, Karuna, with the first question that we're debating. Do you believe that rape of children qualifies as rarest of rare?
You know, the sad thing is that with the increase of the rape of children, in terms of reporting at least, we don't know if the incidence has increased or not. It's quite clear that it's actually not very rare, tragically. You know what makes me sad though, is that a few days ago what was being debated by us as a nation was the NCRB statistics, the National Crime Record Bureau statistics. And we were looking and we were trying to understand where the rapes are happening, and Madhya Pradesh is one of the states where there are the highest number of rapes and sexual assaults.
Yes.
And very quickly the debate has shifted, rather than looking at how to prevent, how to make sure that our children are safe, how to make sure that our, that we are safe, that women are safe, right? Instead, the debate has suddenly shifted to this headline grabbing thing, which is the death penalty, because I think it somehow makes people feel good, you know? It makes people feel like, oh, you know, we're doing something about it and we're doing something strong. Unfortunately, this is a complete illusion. Complete. There is zero credible evidence to show that the death penalty reduces not just child rape, but any rape. Zero evidence. There is some evidence to show that it has a hardening effect on societies. And in fact, what happens, so there's a study in Georgia that violent crime goes up. First point. Second point is that there was a study done of looking at 700 cases where the death penalty was granted from the Supreme Court downward by an organization that I have represented in the past in the Supreme Court. It's a constitutional liberties organization called the People's Union of Civil Liberties. And they found that 100 of the cases out of 700 had been overturned. The death penalty had been overturned by the Supreme Court. So the trial court got it wrong, right? So it's absolutely clear that frequently enough, that's 1 out of 7, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
There are other estimates saying that, we as a judicial system have gotten it wrong about 4,000 to 5,000 times. People, so innocent men have been sentenced to death. And as significantly, guilty rapists are running free.
This is in our country?
Right? And you have lost one of the most important sources of evidence. This is our country, this is India. And so you've lost one of the most important sources of evidence, which is the person who has been wrongly accused of the crime, right? And so in those cases, you've actually contributed to the person, perhaps, committing a second crime, because there's been no accountability whatsoever.
Okay, I began this debate, Karuna, by saying that, my debate is not on the principle.
Let's be clear that rich people...
let me just make it very clear. I don't want to have a debate primarily just on the principle of death penalty and the pros and cons of it. I actually wanted to try and limit it down to saying when it comes to child rape, when it comes to those sick perverts, predators who are roaming around in our homes, schools, on the streets, who think it's all right to rape an 18-month-old child. In that case, when our constitution, when our law provides us with this with this capital punishment, we have it in our country, then should we use it or not? For rape, it's said that in a rarest of rare case, the penalty can be granted. So that's the point.
Right. So the two are actually intertwined. They're very deeply intertwined, right? It's only available at the moment in two situations. One is where a person is killed, and the second is where a person is raped and an adult woman, and there's a persistent vegetative state that is caused. Now, the second situation came in the second penalty was allowed in the anti-rape laws of 2013. We are one of the minority. We're one of the few countries in the world that's actually expanding the ambit of the death penalty. When you look at the International Criminal Court and the crime of genocide, for example, because of the principles that I spoke of, the fact that we get it wrong, the fact that it has a hardening and brutalizing effect in the world, right? Most countries in the world have come together and said that even in case of genocide, you know, even in the case where we have a specific court, we have all as a world, global, polity, set up a court for such things. And, you know, I worked with a judge called Gabrielle Kirk MacDonald, who was presiding judge of the Yugoslav Tribunal. And she made sure that rape was treated not just a war crime, but also as a crime against humanity. You know, she, in the Furungia judgment. So she's part of very progressive legislation. But as a world, we have agreed not in such a case to have the death penalty. The UN has passed, in the General Assembly, all the countries in the world have passed various resolutions that India abstained from, you know. Yeah. So I think that, look, you know, if you look at this particular situation, where unfortunately the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister is just not looking at the difficult work.
No, I agree. I agree with you on that.
Children are safe.
Yes, I do agree with you on that. This cannot be the final solution.
To make everyone, you know, rally against it, saying,
I agree with you. I agree with you. It shouldn't take away with the actual on-ground problems. The fact that in Madhya Pradesh, Karuna, the fact is that in Madhya Pradesh, just a few weeks ago, there was a gang rape of a 19-year-old girl where she had to go to 4 police stations where the cops refused to file the complaint. The fact in Madhya Pradesh itself, the government hospitals end up watching your reports and coming out by saying that, it was consensual sex. So on-ground, other problems, of course, stay. But Abba Singh, can we not use this law as long as we have this capital punishment to instill fear, some little fear, somewhere in the minds of these sick perverts? There was a case just this year of a 10-year-old who was raped by 2 of her uncles. They impregnated her. Parents only found out halfway through the pregnancy when she started complaining about stomach ache. Now we sent those men to jail, but that girl, it was too late for her to abort the baby. She has to live with that for the rest of her life. Why should we not hang those 2 uncles?
No, if you go by facts and figures, the NCRB data which has come out in 2015 itself, more than 8,800 rape cases against small children were registered under the POCSO Act. We've had death penalty for rape, but it clearly shows that somehow the government has been unable to control the increasing rape cases. 94% of rape of young children is done by people who are their neighbors or people who are known to them. This clearly shows that the law has not been able to protect these young children. Why? Because one is the leniency of the law. Earlier, crime against children, there was no POCSO Act. Juvenile Justice Act also gave a lot of leverage. Only recently, heinous offence committed by a juvenile in the age of 16 to 18 were now to be tried under the IPC. That was the reason that those youth of 16 to 18 were committing crime with impunity. Not only that, if you come and analyze the figures, you will find that these people have been committing crime against children because children are not able to give a statement in the courts. They cannot come and tell their parents clearly. Their mind is controlled, and hence a strong law is required to deter these people who are raping minor children, who are sexually assaulting minor children. And that is why I really applaud that Madhya Pradesh government has taken a stand and has passed a bill whereby anybody who rapes a child under 12 would be meted out with death penalty. Now it goes to the president for signing and it becomes a law. At least law which is harsh and which is speedy. That is the only way that the young children can be protected in this country. There is so much of child pornography. If you see, that is even worse abuse of small children, and I think it is needed so that the society knows, these rapists of young children know that they would not be let off easily. So let us not go by human rights. Even these young children who are lured, as you said in Madhya Pradesh, that 10-year-old girl who was lured with a chocolate and then raped by 3 men. How do you justify her human rights? Is she not a human? Let me tell you, we are not talking of changing the country, but we are first talking of protecting the youth, which is being so badly sexually abused. So Madhya Pradesh, as it is, as per the latest figures, has the maximum number of rape cases. Even for the crime against children, it is number 2 and number 3. Maharashtra, UP, Madhya Pradesh are the states with maximum crime.
Yeah.
Even in Maharashtra, you have children sleeping on pavements.
Yes.
Young girls, they are just picked away and raped. So we need a law like that. In fact, I would like a law like that pan-India, so that at least these rapists of small children can be deterred.
Okay, question number 2 actually was that do you believe and is there evidence to suggest that such a law actually brings down the crime rate? That's the second question I wanted to discuss. And I just want to point out that, as Abha was pointing out, the statistics that have come out, the NCRB data for 2016 actually shows that rape of children has gone up by 82% on an annual basis. Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh are the worst states, but there are others who are entering that top 5 list as well. Tamil Nadu has seen significant increase every year, or at least in the year 2016, between the age of 6 and 12, there were about 1,600 children that were raped. There were another 6,100 between the age of 12 and 16. In fact, people don't even leave toddlers. Over 500 cases reported. Let's not even go to the number of cases which haven't been reported. So our question is, will this bring down the crime rate? Is there any evidence to suggest that perhaps this fear in people's minds, or if we actually do manage to implement the law, it will help?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Specific data to show that a very harsh law is able to control crime is not collected per se by the NCRB, but a deterrence, criminal jurisprudence is based on the concept of
Do you know any studies that show that the death penalty lessens incidents of rape?
I was saying that question is from Karuna to you. Are there any specific instances or examples where, I mean, one would assume it does. Why shouldn't it? The fear that somebody can actually catch hold of me and hang me tomorrow should stop this kind of crime. Is there any evidence to suggest that death penalty works? Abha, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. See, figures, if you go by that, when we banned sati, we didn't have figures to say that if we bring a law, it will stop. But it did. You brought an anti-dowry law and it did manage to control these dowry deaths. There has been a fall, there has been a decrease in dowry deaths. So I think it is must, because the deterrence, the message has to go that the government is serious towards protecting children, that the law is going to take a strong course. But as the deterrent law, this is a harsh law, but 100% conviction. As on rate, the best conviction is maximum is 48%. Till the time conviction is 100%, it is very difficult to control this increasing crime. But still, at least with the Madhya Pradesh government taking a stand that anybody who rapes a child under 12, at least it conveys a message that it is treating such offences against children as a very heinous, as a very serious offence, and it is committed to protect the youth. Everybody knows that children are scared, they are not able to come forward to give the complaints. So it is necessary that we prevent such crime from happening, because it is a long-lasting effect on a child's mind, and prevention is better than cure. So rather than just punishing, prevention is more important, and prevention will only happen when there is a fear of the law, when the people know that abusing a child is a heinous offence, and that can only be displayed when offences like death penalty are associated to such offences.
Karuna Nandi, you want to come in on this aspect? Abha Singh says that when we did bring in a law about punishing sati, we didn't know if there was evidence, but it did help. The change has to happen. We must evolve. I believe we have to evolve. Just because right now there are not too many globally also countries who are following this doesn't mean we shouldn't take the lead and bring about a change.
So these are two very different situations. When you are stopping somebody from committing suicide on their husband's pyre, or when you are stopping other people, forcing them to do this, then you are saying that suicide or a forced suicide or abetted suicide is something that's not going to be allowed, right? This is a slightly different situation. I completely agree with the proposition that the fear of the law is something that is absolutely vital to prevent crime. The truth, however, and we have a lot of evidence for this. For example, there's a Delhi School of Economics study that I was just looking at. But there's also the evidence there's a lot of evidence to show that the death penalty does not reduce crime, does not reduce child rape. Lots of evidence, lots of studies. In the 141 plus countries that have abolished the death penalty, violent crime has not gone up. This is something very important to remember. The world trend is moving in the other way, and I'm not saying that the world is always right, but the world here, according to me, is correct. According to me, if we do want to do something to make sure that the children are safe, there are a number of things we need to do. One is that we need to make sure that there is swift and certain punishment. Fear in the mind of a rapist that they will be somebody who's actually a rapist, that they will be caught, that they will be sentenced, and they will be sent to jail. And that it will be done fast. Because there is also data to show that if you think that the trial baad mein hoga, like you tend to discount what's going to happen at that time from what is happening now. So the trials need to be effective and the trials need to be fast. You can't have, a lot of the fast track courts sometimes get it wrong in the sense that there's pressure, so they do it quite fast. There is absolutely no shortcut. And this is constantly in our society. We see politicians wanting to be seen to be doing something popular, to be doing something strong, and in the names of our children, doing something that not only does not help them, that can harm them. And so what we absolutely need is we need to fix our justice systems. We need to make sure that there are forensics, proper forensic labs. We need to make sure that we have more judges per million population, more well-trained police per million, not the kind that turned away the 19-year-old. And actually, I just want to say that under 166A, which is a good provision that came in the 2013 law, those police persons will be criminally liable themselves for not filing the FIR.
But they haven't been.
We need to make sure that our children are
So I agree with you. They haven't
have these educational
sent
programs
behind bars by now. The Shivraj Singh Chauhan government should have done that. You raise a very valid point there, and this is a message to anybody from the BJP who's watching this. If you come out and say we are trying to protect the women and the children of this country, well, also get why don't you send those two cops behind bars, the ones who refused to file the FIR when a gang rape survivor actually went from pillar to post from one police station to the other. So, of course, implementation of law is a big problem. Sensitization of our
even if
police
it's for one
is a
day,
big problem.
even if it's for 1 week, it'll set an example.
It will set an example. And similarly, I believe that if they start implementing the law and picking up the right people and not letting them go out on bail because they presented a weak case, then there will be a fear. People have to think of consequences. What else makes people go around in this world if it is not about their consequences? Right now, I just want to point out what people on Involved were saying, and about 63% agree with you, Karuna Nandi, while 60% agree with Abha Singh as well. So both making some good points, but people are not very convinced on whether they should be against death penalty, because if you see the overall poll, over 70% say child rapists should be hanged. I believe we've got one of our viewers on the phone line as well, Vishal on the phone from Nagpur. Good evening, Vishal.
Good evening, ma'am.
Go ahead, please.
Good evening, ma'am. I just want to put a point across that the ladies or the women have become victim of all kinds of atrocities, whether it is rape or whether it is dowry. And woman is a very precious thing, Woman is the one who carries on the life further. So such laws are very, very welcome. And the person who's putting rod in the private parts of Nirbhaya is roaming free and must be thinking about some startup under this regime.
Well, strict punishment has to definitely has to come
And
in.
I would like to say that the pornography must be stopped.
Yes.
Whether it is mobile, whether it is internet, these things are to be stopped so that the people should not get charged up and do wrong things in life.
Yes, thank you, Vishal, for calling. Your point taken. In November 2017, just last month, a man was arrested for allegedly raping his neighbor's 18-month-old baby in front of his own young children. What should be the punishment for this man? Abha Singh?
In fact, I think after he would get the benefit because law is not retrospective, but definitely raping a 18-month-old child who had come to play with his children, I would say death penalty is the only recourse for such people. If you remember, Bangladesh was able to control acid attacks because as early as 98 they made acid attack death penalty they provided for acid attack, whereas we in India only under Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 made acid attack a specific offence under 326A and B of the IPC. So, and today India is still struggling to control acid attack, whereas Bangladesh has been successful in bringing down the cases from more than 1,000 to barely 100. So it clearly shows that a strong law is capable of protecting and curbing crime. And you're very right, when a person who can 18-month-old child can be raped clearly shows that there is no fear of the law. And because the law has not been specific, POCSO Act also came at a very later offense. Crime against children was just brushed under the carpet, and only after Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 registration of crime increased because people realized that sexual offences are not something to be ashamed of, but it is a crime which Justice Verma rightly said. So I feel all these harsh laws are welcome. We need to tackle with them. We need to tackle with this crime. And even US today, with all its simple laws and human rights, has more cases of rape than in India.
Okay, before I go across to Karuna on that point and bring her response in, I believe I've got one more caller from Mumbai. Arpit, good evening. Okay, Clifton is there on the phone line. Clifton is also from Mumbai. Good evening, Clifton. Where do you stand on the debate? Should we hang child rapists? Clifton, are you there? Can you hear me?
Crompton, Texera.
I think we've got the name wrong. Crompton is on the phone line. Good evening, Crompton.
My name is Crompton Texera. I would like to say I'd go for a life sentence, but not for a death, because I would like to say that hate the sin, but not the sinner. And our police have to be sensitized, because once about 10 years back, I was in a police station. A man came and said, my wife is being raped. And the police were laughing at him and saying, where were you and all, kabhi aayega wapas to bolo. The police, our law has to be stringent. The policemen have to be sensitized. But again, I say, the world is doing out with the death penalty. So we should not kill the person, have a life sentence, give him a stringent
You're being
punishment.
too kind, Crompton, when you say the policemen have to be sensitized. I mean, in that case, if they can actually mock a man who wants help to save his wife from being raped, they don't need sensitization. They're beyond that. Maybe some kind of correction facility or sending them behind bars. But I get your point, and I appreciate that, the view that you hold. Thank you for calling us. Karuna, a similar case that came in from Mumbai, where 3 men lured in a girl on pretext of giving her a chocolate They raped her, then they killed her, and they buried her. And once the job was done, the outskirts of Mumbai, they went and had a nice lavish meal of fish and rice. If found guilty and proven guilty, why shouldn't these three men be given death? They buried a young child. They raped her, murdered her, and buried her, and then went for a nice meal.
You know, Tanvi, by the time somebody is already raped and their rapist is in the dock, it's already too late. We are quite clear as a nation in terms of the evidence that we have that the death penalty does not deter rape. This is 100% clear. It doesn't stop it. I find it to be tragic that deterrence, what actually deters rape and child rape, is something that is not addressed. And I think this is something that absolutely needs to be worked on. As I said, the difficult nitty-gritty of shoring up our justice systems at a much faster pace. There are people, there are judges, there are actors, there are police officers, there are lawyers that are working and trying to do this. But on an emergency footing, as a nation, we need to make sure that the deterrence, the actual real deterrence is there, so that children and women and transgenders and gay men, that everyone is safe. I think this is the vital thing. The second thing, as I said before, is to remember that even Kehar Singh, the man who was put to death for Indira Gandhi's killing, not Beyant Singh and not Satwant Singh, but Kehar Singh. You know, a lot of people even people privately admit, even people in the justice system, that he was innocent. And look, I just think that the death penalty, it's barking up the wrong tree. It's something that politicians like to say. Well, it's a popular thing because people think they're doing something, but it is a chimera. It is an illusion. It is not doing anything. You often kill the wrong people. The actual rapists go free to commit more rape. And so let us focus on the problem.
We have multiple layers.
Let us not have a lethal lottery in the name of our
we have
children.
multiple layers of recourse in our judicial system, from one to the higher court and then to the highest court, multiple times there, and drawing room conversations and what people whisper beyond that is honestly it's not something that you and I can.
That they got it wrong.
Yes, but this is the law, and the judicial system, as long as we're still part of this democratic process, is what people have.
Room conversation for you. The law is actually my work, right?
Yes.
And I find the drawing room conversations, tend to sadly influence what politicians do, because politicians think it's popular in drawing rooms, So this is the problem.
Abha Singh, this is the judicial system.
We just absolutely need to make sure that our children are protected.
This is the constitution that we have. Under the constitution, Abha, death penalty and capital punishment is an option. I mean, what else have we got with us if we don't have faith in that and say those beasts who deserve it?
But Tanvi, you keep saying it's an option, but it's only currently the law for the rarest of rare case for killing. Yeah. And so it's not that it's an option. It's not like you have, three things on the table, red, white, and blue, and you're picking red or you're picking white. Right?
Even if it is 500,
it doesn't work like that.
Even
At the moment, it's there in the limited set of cases.
1,000 or 15,000, every case of a child rape for me is rarest of the rare, because it is that brutal. And when it reaches that extent of brutality and intensity, then the grays don't matter. That's of course my view, but Abha Singh, to you, in fact, before that, let's see if Anand is on the phone line.
To tell you,
Abha, just 1 minute.
There have been cases.
Yeah, just 1 minute. I believe Anand, a caller from Kolkata, is is on the phone line. Anand, if you're there, good evening. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening. I would like to make 2 points. Firstly, I think the death penalty is a bit harsh. The offender should be given a choice, either death or castration.
Okay, that's an
And
interesting
secondly,
suggestion.
Yeah. So let the person who did this crime, let him choose between death and castration. And secondly, I think that, as a society, we are attacking this issue from just a law and order situation and not realizing why this is happening. I mean, as a society, we have leapfrogged in technology and provided easy access to millions of people on their palm tops to watch porn every day. Do you know, can we even fathom what this is doing to their mindsets? Are we attacking that problem, or are we simply saying that social sites and porn sites one cannot control? Until we do that, our multitude of mass illiterate persons who don't have the capacity to control their urges, when they see this kind of thing on a day-to-day basis, it will go on happening.
Often they're also not taught what is right and wrong, and the fact that this is absolutely unacceptable. They're not taught the basics at home and outside. They think they can get away with it, that this is their right. That's also a big mindset problem. But thank you, Anand, for calling us. Very quickly, Abba, over to you before we start wrapping up.
One thing I would like to tell that there have been cases where rapists who've come out on parole have raped again. And that is why Bombay High Court came forward and there was a petition which said that for heinous offences like rape and murder, there should be no parole and furlough. Because you realize that if you let them go scot-free or you let them go out, they're committing the same crime again and again. Secondly, what is important is that you first, issue is not just dousing the fire. Issue is first you have to prevent the crime. We all know that for more than 776 people, there is one cop. So you cannot have policing at every place. So what does the purpose of the law? Is deterrence, that the law should be strong, it should be so effective that a person should think twice before committing a crime. And that is why strong laws are required, that they give a message to the society that if you commit a crime like this, there is a sword hanging above your head.
Well, the debate is still open. The Madhya Pradesh government has already come out with this law. Of course, it has to be ratified and cleared before it gets implemented. The big challenge for Shivraj Singh Chauhan or any other government of the day is going to be implementing the laws that are already in place. Once convicted, of course, the judiciary can take a call on what punishment has to be given. But if the state governments fail to submit a just, fair and well-investigated case, then justice will most probably not be done. Tonight, 67% of our voters believe that child rapists should be hanged. And if the law has been brought in there, perhaps it is time for the rest of the state governments to also sit and think about it. Do we really need these beasts walking around on our streets, in our homes, in our schools? There are schools in Calcutta right now where parents are fighting for safety, for justice, because such incidences are taking place and schools are failing to stop it. In Chennai, a 7-year-old girl was raped and murdered. The accused in that case was granted bail. He went back. He's now on the run after his mother was found dead, bludgeoned and robbed. We don't know if he did it. The police suspect so. There are hundreds of such cases. Something needs to be done. Our authorities need to wake up and ensure that laws get implemented. People are sensitized. Mindsets are changed. But whatever has to be done, and even if that means death penalty to stop people, to instill a little bit of fear in their minds, then let's just go ahead and do that. For now, I thank both of our panelists for joining us this evening. The debate continues. We'll be back with more in a few days.